Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second episode of our Planet Coaster Studio Park series. So, in between the last episode and this one, I have done a bit of work finishing off the entrance gateway, finished off adding all the smaller gates and put a couple little extra details in there, and they are around 90% complete. There's just some tiny little bits which I can do off camera again to finish. And then in this episode today I start on the actual area outside of the park, so the road and kind of the Plaza area where you can get tickets, and Universal normally have their big fountain globe and security and stuff will be based. So yeah, that area is what's being worked on in today's episode. And to create the road, I use these road pieces that I found on the Theme Maker's Toolkit. They'll be in some sort of collection for this series, which I'll do at some point, of all the Theme Maker's items that I use, because there's going to be a lot in this series. There's some more that I've used already. And as you can see, just kind of capping off the roads with some paths, just so that we have sort of a limit for now, so that later on we can decide where we're gonna have more turnings and stuff. And yeah, so far we only have one bus stop on the road, and I'm gonna eventually put more bus stops in, just because most of them will have they'll have a bus coming from a city, one from a hotel, from another hotel maybe. That's the type of thing. And there you can see my Spotify. You can pause the video and see what I was listening to if you want. So yeah, then I used these Pavement Pieces, which came in the Studios DLC, to create the path along the side of the road. And unfortunately these don't snap, which is a bit annoying, so you have to place them like this, and then just group placement and duplicating, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've had a thought about some of the ideas with the themed areas that I decided, and I kind of want to change it now to, because if you look at Universal, most of the rides are in sound stages. They're not in big themed areas. So I kind of wanted to create that with the rides, instead of big Disney level theming. Just want to still make it seem like it is still a film studio, and just don't go full video game park. And yeah, as you can see here, I tried to sink down the road and the path a bit, just so that there's not as many feet clipping through the floor when guests walk around here. But because of the terrain and where I'd put paths now, that wasn't possible. The terrain would clip through. And then there you can see I just lined up some paths with the crossings. And here now I am beginning work on the main entrance plaza area. And as you can see there, I've used some turnstiles which I found on the workshop. I'm not sure if that's how Universal would do them, but that's how I've done them there. In the entrance arch, they're probably done quite different in real life. And yeah, there's a lot of, like, I tried to put in as many paths as possible to give as much like movement around here, but due to terrain and the way the pathing works in this game, there are some areas where guests just won't walk, and this is where you can see kind of a problem with the terrain and pathing, as with this big hole for the fountain that I've built, you can't, that's as close as you can really get the paths, which is a bit annoying, but oh well, we can try and make it work in some way. And yeah, instead of doing a globe like a Universal Park, we're gonna make it more on the theme of video games. So we're gonna have a big like joystick controller fountain instead of a globe, just to kind of make it a bit more different, and you'll see that of course later on. But for now we're just doing the concrete area for the pond fountain area here. So yeah, I'm not sure why there was a piece placed up there. Like, sometimes the placement glitches out in this game, and there's not really a reason why, but it just happens. And as you can see there, now we actually decide where the path is around the area, and like, as you can, from like that path you can see how big and wide the entrance plaza is going to be, and there's only really like 2 buildings in the entrance plaza. You got the main gate, and then you have the ticket building, which is definitely not done yet. That will be probably in the next video, where we'll get nearly all of this area done. And yeah, so here we're just making the shape of the pond using concrete and rotating it around, trying to make it as circular as possible, but Planet Coaster is the best we can do. So yeah, doing that now, and then we'll start building the actual big joystick fountain structure soon, once we filled it with water. So now we are working on the controller statue fountain thing. We're using art shapes to build it, and I went through a couple of different sizes with the like main like body square area of it, with of course like eventually going with this size, and I think this works quite well for the small pond area. My only problem is that they do look a bit too shiny to be controllers, but oh well. Here you can see using art-shaped cylinders to create the main joystick, and if anybody's ever played like a retro games console or had like a plug-and-play console, you'll definitely recognize this controller design. It's very like early sort of Atari era video games. So yeah, it's quite like a nostalgia thing for most people. And of course it has to have 2 buttons on it for the start and select. So yeah, this is pretty much the last bit of the interesting stuff that happens in this episode. And I think I'll show pretty much everything else in a live action section in a minute, because there's not really much interesting stuff left in here. And yeah, we're pretty much at the end of this. So once we get this in place in the small pond, I think we'll move over to the live action segment of the video. So yeah, just moving that in now. And yeah, I shall see you all in a minute. Section of the video. So apologies for the bloom. If you don't like it, it's because reshade's on. So here we have the road, and it's a bit glitchy from far away, but it doesn't really matter. And then here you can see we have a plant pot. This is to cover a small area that I couldn't cover with concrete, so I just put that in. And then I need to fix that clipping there, but it's just meant to look like a nice little plant area, just to hide the grass underneath. And then here is the the finished fountain here. So we have the big large lake area. I think I'll put some like splashing water effects down there. And we got 4 fountains going around. Oh, look at that. That looks kind of nice. And they're of course all shooting up at the controller. So yeah, I think this is pretty much done, but some little details and some stuff to hide. Really, and that's pretty much done. And then just around the back of it here, we've got a few palm trees, just to add some more green to the area. And because you've not seen it yet, this is the 90% finished version of the entrance gate. And if I just change the time of day, let's put it 1 PM. Yeah, there we go, that looks a bit better. So yeah, this is the entrance gate now, and as you can see, there's some plants as well there. And then this will be our ticket counter area here. So yeah, I may put some like fake buildings on this side. Depends really, not sure yet what to do here. And then of course once all of like the back walls and all that are done, which I may do off camera, I'm not sure yet. And of course this ticket information building, once they're done, I think we'll actually start on the sort of main entrance street hub area of our studio park in here. And hopefully our first ride will be on there. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I shall see you all in the next